Preterist interpretations of the Book of Revelation. Preterism is a Christian eschatological view or belief that interprets some partial preterism or all full preterism prophecies of the Bible as events which have already been fulfilled in history. This school of thought interprets the book of Daniel as referring to events that happened from the 7th century BC until the 1st century AD, while seeing the prophecies of the book of Revelation as well as Christ's predictions within the Olivet Discourse as events that happened in the 1st century AD. Preterism holds that ancient Israel finds its continuation or fulfillment in the Christian church at the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. The term preterism comes from the Latin preter, which is a prefix denoting that something is past or beyond. Adherents of preterism are known as Preterists. Preterism teaches that either all full preterism or a majority partial preterism of the Olivet Discourse had come to pass by AD 70. Historically, preterists and non-preterists have generally agreed that the Jesuit Luis de Alcazar 1550–1613 wrote the first systematic preterist exposition of prophecy, Estigatio Arcani Sensus and Apocalypse, published during the Counter-Reformation. History. At the time of the Counter-Reformation, the Jesuit Luis de Alcazar put a prominent preterist exposition of prophecy. Moses Stuart noted in 1845 that Alcazar's preterist interpretation advantaged the Roman Catholic Church during its arguments with Protestants, and Kenneth Newport in an eschatological commentary in 2000 described preterism as a Catholic defense against the Protestant historicist view, which identified the Roman Catholic Church as a persecuting apostasy. Due to resistance from Protestant historicists, the preterist view was slow to gain acceptance outside the Roman Catholic Church. Among Protestants, preterism was first accepted by Hugo Grotius 1583–1645, a Dutch Protestant eager to establish common ground between Protestants and the Roman Catholic Church. His first attempt to do this in his commentary on certain texts which deal with Antichrist 1640, arguing that the texts relating to Antichrist had had their fulfillment in the 1st century AD. Protestants did not welcome these views, but Grotius remained undeterred, and in his next work, Commentaries on the New Testament 1641–50, he expanded his preterist views to include the Olivet Discourse and the Book of Revelation. Preterism continued to struggle to gain credibility within other Protestant communities, especially in England. The English commentator Thomas Hayne claimed in 1645 that the prophecies of the Book of Daniel had all been fulfilled by the 1st century, and Joseph Hall expressed the same conclusion concerning Daniel's prophecies in 1650, but neither of them applied a preterist approach to Revelation. However, the exposition of Grotius convinced the Englishman Henry Hammond, 1605–1660. Hammond sympathized with Grotius' desire for unity among Christians and found his preterist exposition useful to this end. Hammond wrote his own preterist exposition In 1653, borrowing extensively from Grotius, in his introduction to Revelation, he claimed that others had independently arrived at similar conclusions as himself, though giving pride of place to Grotius. Hammond was Grotius' only notable Protestant convert, and, despite his reputation and influence, Protestants overwhelmingly rejected Grotius' interpretation of Revelation, which gained no ground for at least 100 years. By the end of the 18th century, Preterist exposition had gradually become more widespread. In 1730, the Protestant and Arian Frenchman Firmin Abauzit wrote the first full Preterist exposition, Essai sur l'Apocalypse. Abauzit worked in the then independent Republic of Geneva as a librarian. This was part of a growing development of more systematic Preterist expositions of Revelation later, though it appears that Abauzit recanted this approach after a critical examination by his English translator Leonard Twells. The earliest American full Preterist work, The Second Advent of the Lord Jesus Christ, a past event, was written in 1845 by Robert Townley. Townley later recanted this view.